All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Aim number 2, as we talk about triggers, as Kim has already said, that triggers are very important, and they are. Lane says, I'm a really busy guy. Lane, I actually don't feel like it. I never really feel super busy. Occasionally, I will really book it up, but for the most part, it's all just kind of a constant little stream in my brain, so it works out pretty well. And I try to keep things pretty simple. And that's the thing that I'm really excited about AIM is I'm doing a lot of the same things that you guys are doing and really simplifying and keeping it tight. So today, as we talk about triggers, these are going to be somewhat psychological, but it's the element that we get other people to take action, and that's super important. So creating action based on your heat seeker. So this is the element that is making AIM different than a lot of programs out there. A lot of programs are all about, hey, here's the next gigantic activity, and if you're way behind already, you're dead and you'll never catch up. I've been part of those so many times. But instead, this is really about keeping it super simple and super tight. So what we're going to be doing is really nailing it in here on creating an action based on your heat seeker. So Sue just came in, and Sue is really, focusing on those sales. So what Sue's got to do is make sure that she is focusing on creating triggers that are going to create sales. So that's what her assignment is going to be all about. And actually, in the members area, I added a couple of videos. One is psychological triggers, and the other psychological wiretapping. It will really help you understand your market a little bit more so that you can generate some triggers that are going to be a little bit stronger. But it's not mandatory to watch those in order to do the assignment, so don't feel the stress on that. And as you're watching the second video, there's going to be a little bit of overplay and overlay from the first one. So some of the content is repeated a little bit, but that's all right. You're going to end up hitting some of the others. So, as we create action based on our heat seeker, what is our number one goal? What is it that we're wanting to do? So, always keep that in mind. So, I know that Kim is really wanting to build her list. That's a big part of her focus. So, she's got to be focusing on those triggers to build the list, not simply a trigger that is going to create action, because some triggers are going to create that sale, some are going to create the opt-in, some are going to create the like on Facebook, right? So we've got to know what our goal is, our heat seeker is, so that we can create that specific trigger and be on the lookout for that, because it's going to make a big difference. The key to a trigger is that we're going to tap into want, and we must tell people exactly what to do. Tap into want, tell people exactly what to do. And it's going to depend on how much room we have to tell this story, to set it up. If it's an opt-in page, then, we could use a video and we could talk as much as we wanted to, right? It could be that we have a cool looking fake video there on the opt-in page that people click, and then when those pop-ups come up, we've all seen those and been part of those, says, hey, wait a minute, before you get to see all the high value content, use the opt-in box to the right. Well, that's a trigger. I saw that video and maybe I didn't even want it that much, but the minute that I click and I can't have it, well, now obviously I've got to have it. So that's nothing more than a trigger that's tapped into that want. I was interested enough by the headline or by the bullet points to actually click the video, but now it's increased because of my inability to get that. You must tell people exactly what to do. This seems like a given that when people see a link, they know to click it. But I found out that they still don't, not even in today's world of the mega internet, that people are still forgetting to click things. They're forgetting to opt in. So you have to tell them, use the box to the right. If you're using a video for an opt in, use the box to the right. Sue's got to say, click the button right here and order right now. So she's got to be able to do that. Now, the trigger as well for them is going to be a little bit more, right? I buy right now or the price goes up. Last week, Kerry Wilkerson and I did just a quick little $10 event. And we said, order now or order by this deadline because the price triples. So it's still just $30, But going from 10 to 30 is pretty strong. So it acted as a really big trigger. So the trigger was not just the event. The trigger was also the price. So even as you work on your triggers this week, you've got to look at it at the level of depth. How many triggers are you going to employ? In some cases, it may just be one. Click here to get X, and it's as simple as that. Other times, you may actually stack your triggers so that you end up applying more than just one trigger at a time. So let me use Sue again, because anytime you're selling something, you're going to be using multiple triggers. So it can be a price point, it can be a deadline, it could be even a countdown clock on the page. I don't see very many countdown clocks being used for even giveaways for opt-ins. So Kim, you could actually have a countdown timer on your opt-in page. Let's say that you're switching out videos as you test them. Then you could say that the following video is available for free until this clock hits 0. And that's just an opt-in trigger. So you're going to tap into the want, and you're going to tell people exactly what they've got to do. It's super essential. Now, hopefully all of that's clear. If at any point you go, hey, what's that about? Just type in a question. All right, so here's something that I'm doing right now. I've got these ads running on Facebook, and this is for my $1 million keynote that I'm doing for public speakers. I'm doing a lot of experimenting right now, but the main goal is that I'm building the list. So $1 million keynote masterclass. So I'm not calling it a webinar because most people are so used to webinars and they've seen this. Now I've got to even change that on the timer. It says time left until webinar starts. I've got to see if I can shift that because I'd rather it say masterclass. But a lot of people are using that too. So I've got to be sensitive to it, and we're going to see what happens. Engage, how to avoid becoming a human tranquilizer. 5 principles of maximum engagement. And I've got several different headlines that I'm working on right now just to see. Save my seat for this public speaking masterclass event. Now, the truth is, I probably need to say, click here to save your seat for this public speaking masterclass event. Because now that I'm looking at that, I don't think it's clear enough. Some people don't actually get it. They'll be seeing that link and they'll be going, well, I want to save my seat, but I don't know how to do it. I know that seems amazing, but I've seen it happen all the time. I've even had some people find me and message me. I couldn't figure out how to sign up for your event, and they just didn't know that they clicked that. So I've got to go back and make that change. So Thursday, October 2nd, got the times in there, etc. Got the countdown clock. We're going to dive into 5 engagement anchors of your keynote or presentation 2, and it goes on and has just a little bulleted list there. But it's based in the overall giant trigger, giant want is that they don't want to be boring. That's the overall key. Now, on down the page, one of the bullets is why you're not afraid of public speaking, and I'll prove it, but why you better be before your next event. Okay, so this is a little bit of a reverse trigger, right? Instead of me taking the assumptive position of everybody's scared of public speaking, I'm telling them they're not scared of it. I'm going to prove it. And then I'm going to tell them they need to be scared. So that's kind of opposite. So that's going to be a little bit of a curiosity trigger that's built into that page as well. Yeah, Kim says she agrees that click here would be better. And see, I've even got the space because save my seat for this public speaking masterclass event. I've still got a bunch of space on this second line that I can utilize. So click here to save your seat, will be almost perfect as far as the spacing of all of that. Which I think actually impacts opt-ins to a very small degree, but when things are aesthetically pleasing, it makes a little bit of a difference. And then I've got my social proof over here with my little like button, 577 like this. It's not a giant amount, but seeing that I just opened up this this page maybe last week, I think. So I've already got 577 likes. Some of that's from sending it out to my email list, and part of that is a little campaign that I ran on Facebook straight to my Facebook fan page. that was totally targeting likes, and that was it. That was the whole goal. So, not too bad on social proof. The tweets here at 1, that was me. I probably need to go back and take that out or see if I can just run up my number by multiple tweeting. We'll have to see how that works, if that'll work out. But overall, the trigger is they don't want to be boring, right? Now, I could do another masterclass all about the keynote and make that totally about creating a great keynote. I was actually on a call, a little velocity call with someone who's interested in speaking coaching. And when I mentioned that a big challenge in public speaking today is that people feel like they've got a lot of great ideas, they don't know how to organize them, they put them all together, and their talk ends up being super random. And she laughed a little bit, and I knew that was her, right? And it's just true. It's where most of them are. So the trigger in that case would be structure. And I know that doesn't sound too sexy, but to a speaker it is, because if we don't have structure, if we can't visualize our talk and feel great about it, then we're going to be a lot more nervous than we have to be. Kim says, send her the link. She'll tweet about it. Kim, go to milliondollarkeynote.com/engage. milliondollarkeynote.com/engage. All right. So those are just some little light triggers there. Triggers are based in action, emotion, and in the sensory, if we can do that. Sensory is a little bit tougher unless we're using a video and we've actually got some sounds that are involved. Kim, for example, with your videos and you're outside and you got your horses there, that's highly sensory, because anyone who has been around horses or been around a farm, they're going to get the aroma, even though there's no aroma there on the page, right? We can't help it. We can hear the sounds. We see the scenery. We see exactly what's going on. And so those of us who can make it sensory to a higher extent can work out really well. So if we're in our office, it's somewhat sensory, but that works out pretty well if it's business. Now, if I'm talking to speakers and I was actually in a giant auditorium and it panned out, and later that day I had a full auditorium, and I talked about the difference between speaking to an empty audience or empty arena and a full arena. That'd be sensory, right? The sound would be totally different. If at the very beginning of the video, I said in just a few hours, this room is going to be full of people coming to hear the topic of X. How'd this room get full? What'd I do to make sure that the seats would be filled? Well, I'd love to share that with you in my upcoming masterclass called Fill Your Event. That could be, it definitely need to be sexier than that, but that would be sensory. So that can work out pretty well. And then there's emotion. Whether or not we're able to do something that's sensory, I think that we can use emotion for our triggers in some form. So I can use negative emotion, where I would say, don't blow your next speech. Negative emotion. Did the last time you got up to speak, your knees were knocking, your palms were sweaty, and your mouth was dry? That's emotional for speakers. They're like, yes, how did you know? Were you there? We feel that. So emotion's about this feeling. It's about creating sometimes a tension or sometimes a promise of relief. So let's take Sue, for example, when she's working on what she's going to sell, then she's going to be able to really hit that emotion of what's going to change. Here's where you are. Here's where you're going to be. Now, Lane's a little bit different. She's got a site that people are coming to, and she's going to be working with advertisers, and she's going to be working with affiliates. And so for them, the emotion is not going to be quite as high. She's going to be focusing a little bit more on action for advertisers and for affiliates so that people are able to see the end result. And when they see the end result, then they take action on it. Now, she's going to have to use some triggers that basically say, be sure, something as simple as be sure to visit the sponsors. It allows the site to remain free. Something simple as that can make a big difference. And then once she is able to utilize some triggers like that, and her traffic gets up and her clicks get up, she's able to charge more for advertisers and obviously able to sell more products. So, it's all works hand in hand. So your triggers are based in action. Here's what to do. Emotion, here's what I want you to feel. And then sensory, if we can bring more elements into it. Usually this is visual or it's auditory, but it can be physical as well. Obviously, if somebody puts a picture of bacon on the page, it's going to be sensory for me. So our images, our audio, our video are going to help things become more sensory. And now I'll admit that I'm not the greatest at that. I'm more like, here's what I've got. Here's what it'll do for you. Go get it. That's not big time triggers, but in my markets, they tend to already know what it is that they want. I'm not having to do a lot of convincing there. All I'm having to do is to say, here it is, go get it. So, and that works out a little bit easier. Okay, so before I get to the assignment, this is really all the content. The content's super streamlined in these lessons. Now, when we get to copy, the content's going to be a lot longer. When we get to the product, that's going to be a lot longer. But as far as triggers, your assignment's going to take you a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to be over the top. It just depends on how detailed you get into it. But before we get to the assignment, any questions about triggers, anything that needs to be clarified, or a thought that you would like to add? Well, it's already 18 after. I thought it was like 8 after. Type that in now. All right, looks like no questions, which is cool. Okay, so here's your assignment. Number 1, and you got to send these to me. 10 researched trigger phrases based on your heat seeker. These are not yours. These are competitors. These are other people in the marketplace selling something similar, doing similar opt-ins, building their list, other pages that are focusing on advertisers. What are their trigger phrases? What's causing people to click? What makes you want to click? What makes you want to opt in? What makes you want to like the page? All right, so Deborah, you're going to go out and research other artists, and you're going to find out what it is that they're doing. And it may be right, it may be wrong, but you're going to go and check it out, and you're going to make a list of 10 that you see. Now, here are your options. Number 1, you can just copy and paste a link in and send that to me, and I'll go and check those out. And or you can make a little video of each one in like something along the lines of Snagit or something like that. Sue, it doesn't necessarily have to be a $7 product, but I would say that whatever your product is, like if it's a business blueprint, I would look at other business blueprint pages and I would find out what their trigger is. The $7 to me is such a no-brainer that I'm thinking that you might need to be a little bit, bold with that. And you're kind of sassy anyway. I think you need to leverage that a little bit. I don't know how many folks you would actually run off, but I keep coming back. Yeah, you sassy. I keep coming back to that whole concept of keeping track of who's bought and emailing those who didn't buy, just segmenting, the buyers out, and then just keep hammering those other people. And even, you need to even have an email that says, this is only $7 you hadn't bought, and I don't even understand it. Click reply and tell me why. Click reply and tell me why. Get some interaction going on that. Figure that out. That doesn't make any sense, right? So be a little bold. Sue says she likes that. Good. All right, so 10 research trigger phrases. What are people in your market doing that's making you want to take action or to move or whatever? So when I say 10 research trigger phrases, this does not mean the first 10 that you come across. It means 10 that you think, hey, this isn't too bad. Then you need to write your own 10 trigger phrases and where you will be using them. What page you're going to be using them on, and what your purpose is. So these are going to be 10 that you write, 10 that you come up with, and you're going to send me those too. So your assignment is you're going to send me 10 research triggers, and you're going to send me 10 of your own triggers that you've written. And if you like somebody else's and it's perfect and you just barely want to tweak it, there's nothing wrong with that. It'll be fine. It's not like we're going to be really plagiarizing a trigger phrase. So Kim's trigger phrase might be, click here now to opt in for this video, which will show you how to immediately forge a bond with your horse. Immediately forge an intimate connection with your horse. You know, something along those lines could be something that would work. All right, any questions about the assignment? I'll send this out tonight with this replay. Or at minimum, I'll say, here's where the assignment began. Go rewatch that. Hopefully it's pretty clear. And I'll send the date that it is due. And you also have the 2 videos to watch if you choose to do that. Let me tell you a little bit about the videos before we go. The first one, Psychological Triggers, is going to talk a little bit about pricing and how to price based on how long, how deep, and how quick you can solve the issue. And it's also going to talk about the difference in dealing with newbies, and it's actually the value, forgot what I call that. It's a value chart that basically for new people, they can't, value interpretation. They can't interpret value, and so they have a hard time with it. And then those who are able to interpret value, they're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to spend more money quicker. Hey, I didn't, Kim. Send that to me again, please. Lane, I sure can. Lane asked if I can give some examples from my site. So let's do that. Oops. I was hitting the wrong button. Let me make sure that y'all type in if you can see my little Google Chrome image right there. Just type yes. Okay, good. I was afraid I had messed up and knocked everybody off the webinar. I hate I'm not more relaxed. You guys are probably like, why isn't he professional? Okay, $1 Million Keynote. Okay, so this is crush your next keynote or presentation. And I need... Okay, so these are some soft triggers. These are what I call soft triggers. So this is just an article. I'm not even selling anything technically, Lane. So $1 Million Keynote. Hey, click here to get details about the $1 Million Keynote course. So they click there, and it goes here, and it's not even ready. So I've got a countdown timer here on this. So think about this from a trigger standpoint. Click here to get the details. Well, they want the details, right? Well, they get over here and there's not really any details because it doesn't exist yet. So that's a little bit of a trigger. Click here to alert me when you launch. So they click that, enter your email below, then click the button, and we will let you know when MDK is available. You will receive the 39-point speaking checklist and a copy of Engage, how to avoid becoming a human tranquilizer. Alert me. See, I need to even click that there, but at least I said click up here. Enter your email below and then click the button. So that's fairly clear. And they thought they were getting details, but now they're getting this free video instead. Or at least they don't know what it is, but they're getting a copy of it. I don't think I have to clarify that any more than that. And so that's a little bit of a process that moves them down the pike a little bit. Now, this is a little bit more risky. Personal MDK, we'll work together. Click here to book in a 10-minute call. All right, so it's still action-oriented, right? But it's only 10 minutes. Nobody really thinks they can be sold in that. So they come, they fill out this information, they book their time from there. Click here to book your call. Super clear. Step 1, enter your velocity call request. Step 2, book your call in time, your call time. Let's develop and deploy your killer MDK fast. Right? So that's pretty clear as well. Let me see what else I'm working on right now. Okay, so let's look at that full Engage page. It's a little bit of a variation that I have on what you saw earlier. 5 simple ways to build content, confidence, connection while leaving your audience wanting to hear you time and time again. Strengthen your speaking with this training that's being used by more than 34,000 coaches, authors, and speakers. Right, so that little bit, will work. Two places that you can take your audience so they engage instantly, and one place you better not or risk losing them forever. They're scared of that. Advanced insider speaking tips you can use immediately that will take you from average or worse to awesome, such as 3 things to say when you freeze. Now, see, this is obviously a big page, so it has a lot of triggers on it and makes it pretty easy to handle because or a lot of different triggers on it instead of just one, something that's succinct. So let me go to another page that has engage on it. In fact, let me just use my triggers from my home page here. And I get a decent amount of opt-ins from this. Ironically, I actually didn't think I would, but this little free bar right here, engage and achieve get the most. Platform does not get hardly any, probably just from who's part of my market here. So this is achieve. Get your free achieve anything cheat sheet and accomplish more than ever before. Get your life and business focused on fire with a step-by-step quick start guide and cheat sheet. You can't really tell what's going on here. It's a little blurred out. So that's another big trigger. People are like, and how to achieve anything. That's wide open. That converts really well. Now, very similar page. Each one of these pages are identical as far as the template that I used in its lead pages. Yeah, just a call to action, Lane. Exactly. So engage your audience. The 5 simple ways to build connection, leave your audience wanting to hear you time and time again. Catapult your speaking with a step-by-step free video training. So got a cool little image there. This works out really well, and people love the video. So that's a bonus as well, that they actually like the free thing that they got. Okay, so my trigger here is 5 simple ways, 5 simple, and even the little parentheses is a little bit different, right? It offsets it. Ways to build connection. Leave your audience wanting to hear you time and time again, which is what speakers want. They want to be invited back. They not only want to do a good job now, they want to be so good that they get invited back. All right, so there's some samples just from my opt-in pages here on Paul B. Evans. So you can go there and explore a little bit. And none of this is magic, and I'm not even saying that these are the best. I'm just saying that this works out really well as far as just very simple little triggers. And this is based on what I'm wanting to accomplish. Obviously, I want to accomplish opt-ins. And so that's what these triggers are. On sales pages, then the triggers may be a little bit different. And obviously, you got a lot more. As I mentioned last week, the whole deal was the price is going to triple. A lot of people didn't even care about the training as much as they cared about making sure they got the deal. Right? Okay, good. Kim says, I will do my best to find people in the horse industry that have triggers. The horse industry is so far behind on stuff like this. Yeah, absolutely. And what you may have to do, Kim, is go to like a major industry site and just see what's going on there, and maybe go to one of the top horse trainers and see what's going on there. So you may only have a couple of sites, but you might be able to pull, 5 or 10 triggers from those couple of sites. All right. Cool, guys. Well, I will get the replay up. Don't forget your assignment. I'll send that out tonight. Any final comments or thoughts? Deborah said, cool assignment. Great assignment. Good. Good. All right, guys. Well, I'll send that out tonight. And this is number 2 of 9. So number 2 is triggers. Focus on that. Send that assignment to me. And then during the assessment, we'll be going through those. And I'll pinpoint some ones that maybe I feel like are strong. And then the rest of you guys can argue with me. All right. Yeah, have a great day. Be blessed.